What if I told you that there are automation opportunities that you can use right now in your business to cut costs, save time, and boost productivity? Well, that's the premise of Mr. Tony Taslim, who's going to be today's guest. He is, of course, the podcast co-host, and he's from Efficient Business Solutions. So join us to discover how you can revolutionise your business operations with the game-changing world of automation. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Pathways to Productivity podcast. If you want to learn more about productivity to drive growth and profit in business, then you are in the right place. I'm Chris Baker from Calista Consulting, and with me, as usual, is my co-host, Mr. Tony Taslim from Efficient Business Solutions. G'day, Tony. How are you going today?
Yeah, great. How are you, Chris?
Yep, I'm doing fine. Thank you. It's still horrible and wet outside. So may as well be inside recording a podcast, eh?
Yeah, sure.
So as regular hosts of the podcast, Tony and I have introduced ourselves and talked about our backgrounds in episode 1. So you can always go back to that if you want to learn more about us and what we do in the world of productivity. But today, Tony's going to be talking about his specific field of specialisation, which is, of course, process automation. Now, I should just note quickly before we go into the podcast, we're not going to delve deeply into, not at this stage anyway, into sort of CNC and robotic automation. Those are big topics in themselves. And we're going to do some future episodes on those and why, when, and how to integrate those technologies into business. And we're going to get some great guest speakers in to talk about that because they're very specialised areas. So we'll get some experts in. Today, we're going to confine ourselves to the ways in which software can help with your business. Now, we may mention some specific products and tools during this discussion, and I'll point out that at the time of recording, we don't have any affiliations with any of these, so we're not sponsored by them or promoting them for any particular reason, and we're not specifically recommending them. They're simply examples that we're familiar with, and we certainly encourage listeners to do their own research and find the tools and products that suit them best. So let's kick off. Tony, from your perspective, what is process automation?
Process automation is tool or a technologies that helps businesses, companies to complete or to meet their target goals, complete their tasks with the help of, for example, which is like pre-programmed, first of all, pre-program those tools, hardware and software, so that they can complete their tasks.
All right. So what's an example that people might be familiar with?
So it's the easiest way is restaurant, I guess, where we like, if you can see, for example, McDonald's. When you go into McDonald's, you can see like a kiosk that can grab your orders. You can just tap, and then you put what you want and customize it as well. And after that, like you just press pay, and then you do the payment, tap the card, and it's done automatically, and you just get the receipt, and then you grab the food after that. So that's the automation. So they are trying to optimize their ordering process using the automation. So that's one way to have a look at automation. But if we want to go further, like for example, there's another in restaurant again. When you sit down on the table, you can see QR code, which is doing similar thing with the kiosk.
Right.
You can do from your smartphone, you can just scan the QR code, order, tap, and then pay, and that's it. The food will come, probably by a robot on the tray. And then you just lift it up, your food from the tray, and then onto your table, and there you go. That's another level of automation. Further, if you're thinking about if the restaurant would like to go further in the automation level, They can go for like a machinery, like to prepare food, chopping tomatoes or cracking eggs and stir it so that you can make a fried rice. They got machines and automation to do that. So that's kind of like automation that we can see more common in our day-to-day life.
Yeah, I think it's a good example because it's one that we all interact with as customers. Um, and whether it's the kiosks, as you mentioned, or the apps on the phone, or the QR codes that link you through to a website and give you the menu, I think as a customer, I actually kind of like that because I also like the interaction with a good member of the team, the wait staff there, and perhaps telling me specials and things like that. But this way, I can sort of work at my own pace and take the time to look through and not feel pressured about the order. And I can also place an order at any time. And one of my bugbears is when my drink runs empty and it sits there for a long time before someone asks me if I want another one. And it's kind of interesting because I'm sitting there saying, I want to give you my money and purchase something else from you and no one's available. Whereas the apps bypass that and let you get straight in to the process itself. And so you're linking the customer in, providing pull signals to get that flowing through.
Yes.
And it frees up the wait staff, I suppose, to do other things and to put more time into interacting with people and keeping the process moving. So I actually really like those kind of things. And I think
exactly. I mean, like, this is not about replacing human, but I think with your point just now, like, you just want to enjoy the scenery or enjoy the ambience of the restaurant. But remember, this tools is not replacing human. As you mentioned, you like when someone greeted you when you come to the restaurant. It's still completely normal. And for example, like after you order, after a while, probably a waiter still come to your desk, hey, is everything all right, sir? Or that kind of thing, madam. Like, hey, that's still human touch. That we need that. So, which is like, hey, automation is helping tools, not a replacement. So,
right.
Yeah, I like when you're mentioning that there's still human touch. You like to be greeted. Yeah, that still can be still on in the restaurants.
And we might circle back to that a bit later as well and talk about the impact of automation on employees
Yes.
as well, because I think that's an important one that should be addressed and we can't hide from it. And talk about what we should use automation for and what perhaps we shouldn't. But maybe a good starting point is to talk about why would a business consider going down the path of process automation? What do you think the key benefits are for business?
The biggest thing that I can see is the 24/7 presence, which can come with a really minimal cost. Let me get an example. Like, a shop cannot open. Of course, yes, shop can open 24/7, but what are the costs of the waiting time and the
Right.
waiting waiter and that kind of thing? But for example, like if you got professional service, like for example, I'm doing an IT consulting, 24/7 presence with, for example, a chatbot. Customers that have like the only time they are available is after hours. They can communicate with the chatbot to understand what are my services, what services that I can help them with, or getting to know more about the service or the products or many other things. It's just to elevate understanding communication between a company, the business, the service provider with the customers. That's the biggest thing that I can think of. But the second thing is like productivity again, right? There are so many repetitive and sometimes it's boring tasks for staff workers that they can leverage automations so that they can attend into a more important task for the business. So, and in the end, when the productivity up, then means like its profits is up, and then the employee satisfaction can go up as well as like customer satisfaction can go up as well. That's from the productivity. The other thing is like collaboration, workflow, so that like collaboration between each department can be better. Let's take an example in an accounting firm. When for doing tax return, a customer submit all those documentations, but sometimes customer forgot, hey, oh, I haven't include this tax receipt or that document or whatsoever.
Right.
Automation will be able to do those checking. The tax service provider collaborate with the customer with provide automated with document checking, and then when it's done, it's automated the checking. It will automatically flow to another auditor, for example, or another tax person to start processing, double checking everything, and then keep going. And it's automating those process will help productivity as well. So that's
Right. Well, I can certainly relate to a couple of those examples. I put HubDoc integrated into Xero to make putting receipts into Xero much quicker and easier,
exactly.
and keep that electronic record of them too. I think is the other benefit there.
Yes.
And I also recently integrated a chatbot based on Chatbase into my website, and it didn't take long to do. It wasn't technically that challenging. And after a little bit of training, which also wasn't hard to do, it gives surprisingly good answers, and I really like it. And apart from that, when customers interact with the chatbot, I get a transcript of that, so I can learn a bit about what people are looking for when they visit the website, and that informs future development of the website and answers to questions that I can update and retrain the chatbot, which only takes a few minutes. So, yeah, they're great examples.
Yeah, they are like that's part of the machine learning. So it's automating of its learning process. That's coming part as a part of the AI tools that you can build. But again, to pointing it out, that's why chatbot is good for businesses, because it's like providing 24/7 presence
Yes.
for business. Especially, it can help small businesses compete with the bigger business where they can afford like 24/7 presence, right? So,
Right.
yeah.
And it wasn't hugely expensive. So it's something that's very affordable for small business to do.
It is.
I mean, all those little services do add up, and I do keep an eye on. But when I look at my expenses as a whole, some of those little services like that are not prohibitively expensive at all.
Yes, it is.
What,
Yep.
what about workflow management across an organisation and collaboration between different teams?
Can you elaborate more on that? What do you mean?
So, tools for process automation. So, as your business is moving a particular client case through the process of delivering an outcome or a product or service to that client, does business process automation play a role there in increasing the transparency to the status of work and interacting with clients?
Exactly. So let's continue with the tax accounting firm on doing the process. Previously, we end up like, hey, it's the accountants is processing your tax return and then analyze it. In the background, with the automation tools, it can also provide you with the dashboard, so the customer can know, hey, where are where are your tax return process at? And then it can also automatically notify you, hey, you will need to provide more justification on this, or providing status report every now and then, or status report when, hey, emailing the customer when it's already moving or progressing to the next stage. And then it can also giving the customer an update when this is the tax return process already been launched. So what I'm saying is, it's the automations helps you with the customer service by providing dashboards, notifications, alert, or reminder. Sometimes, like, instead of an accountant keep trying to follow up, hey, customer, hey, you haven't entered this, or you haven't put these documentations. The system, the automation can send the customer reminder every now and then to remind the customer, hey, please upload these specific documents. We need that, and so on and so on. So I think it's like brilliant system if for automation for reminder system.
Right. So we've covered a few of the potential benefits there. What do you see as some of the emerging trends of process automation in business?
The biggest thing is AI fuel automations, which is like we just touched that like with that
We talked about that a little bit already, yeah.
Accounting firm tax return, right? But another thing is data insight fuel, data insight for the growth purpose. So this is an intelligent systems. The automation can help businesses to analyze automatically reports, for example,
right,
KPIs of your employees. While if there's like enough holidays or what their performance, are they meeting targets? But it also can analyze for your sales, for your marketings, for your customer satisfaction, and many other KPIs that you can gather automatically and in real time. So when you pull up the data or pull up a report, it can give you some analytics. The next thing is like workflow, which is like similar to what we described in the tax accounting case. It's just automatic, and it's just so making the process flow smooth and no hiccups. The next thing is process management, customer-centric, which is similar to what I think I have described in the accounting tax case study. It's giving customer experience with those notifications, with their reminders, so that customers understand where they at with processes.
I think this is a really important one, Tony. You know, as you know, customer service is one of the things we help organisations with, and perhaps I'm more sensitive to bad customer service as a result than others might be. But I think customer service sometimes is very overlooked in its importance to business. It isn't enough to simply deliver a product to people anymore. They're looking for more than that in terms of how they're treated by employees, how easy is the company to access, do they get the information that they need, are expectations set correctly so that they can be met or exceeded.
Exactly.
And you know, in busy organisations, it's easy to overlook this. And I'm going through this in a very real situation at the moment, where I'm dealing with a financial institution, and there's some legal entities involved to get a transaction done. It should be very routine, but it's dragged on and on and on. And it seems like at one of these legal agencies, they have no case management in place at all. And every time someone else picks it up, they're going right back to the start and starting again, and they don't know the history of it. And they haven't sort of looked at the problems and the things that have been attempted to be put in place to work around the problems. And it strikes me in that particular instance that they could benefit enormously from having some sort of process management in place. And there's so many software tools out there to do that now. And in this whole process, not once has either the financial institution or the legal agencies proactively contacted me And so I'm sitting in the dark the whole time, not knowing what's going on. And the only reason it's found out that there are problems is because I've approached them rather than the other way around. So this is an example of where they could definitely benefit from investing in something that supports the customer service team in just updating the client and letting them know the status of their case and where it's at, and also letting them know where it's at so they can apply the right treatment to it.
You're spot on, Chris. You're spot on. That's where automation really helps. Small bits and pieces, repetitive, sometimes um, the service provider overlook on those because of there are so many repetitive work. So this kind of thing that they can leverage the automations so that they can take care their customers personally. We're not doing all these repetitive, mundane type of tasks.
I guess leading on from that, what about compliance? I mean, a lot of organizations have got a lot of compliance they have to meet, right? So is process automation playing a role there?
Exactly. So let's take for example, in legal industry, right? So
Right.
there are so many in legal industry, for example, when you're doing like putting down evidence, right? Evidence can be a picture, can be videos, and that can be like hours of video CCTV, for example, right? So there's an AI tools that you can use to do analytics of a picture or getting transcript out of the CCTV or a video that can analyze after they got the transcript. Automation tools work with AI, can analyze those transcripts to understand what's going on and put a summary or put a note on those transcripts or this video, which time lapsed. So that also helps. And probably after that, like providing a report, email it to the person in which legal department appropriately, and that's part of the automations. It's just like how much time this automation tool can save, for example, a senior barrister or a senior legal officer, right? So to understand what's going on. And that's just one process, one simple process, simple tools. And how about like there are many other things. So imagine the possibilities for productivity.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I'm a business leader listening now and I'm thinking, okay, so there's all these different areas where process automation can help. What sort of processes within my business should I look at as common or particularly likely tasks that would respond well to process automation?
Okay, the top thing is what I can see is chatbot,
Right.
24/7. Means like if you got like 8-hour day for an employee or for staff working, means it's already been like a 300% productivity increasing, right? So chatbots, it helps the customers, and with chatbot agents, like instead of like a phone call, you only got one person for one customer. Chatbot can serve many customers, many potential customers with one chatbot. Imagine what's the
Yes.
ROI on that. The other thing is like data entry and processing. Again, as similar to the legal case study we just discussed, like with one entry of video or one entry of pictures, the automation tool can process all the information required to analytics and then provide you with the report. As well as like, for example, if you're doing in Zero, like or MYOB accounting, when it's integrated with some other things, they can do integrations. When you program it to do certain things, it'll just talk automatically and then do processing, and then what you know, hey, voila,
Just
report.
data entry and those kind of tasks are very mundane. And often we're using employees who are capable of much more value add type of activity to do these mundane things, which I'm sure they don't particularly appreciate, but sometimes that work has to be done. So anything that can take it over, those repetitive, mundane tasks, I think it's got to be a good thing, right?
Yep, exactly. But don't forget about that's from the data entry and processing. How about from marketing campaign?
Yeah, right.
It helps you to keep, for example, if you got a list of customers that you would like to be in touch every now and then, marketing campaign automation is another way to have it, like to do it, right? Financial transactions, processing invoices, payrolls, and sometimes a reminder, like for a customer that possibly like just forget to pay because of their business, right? So it's sending reminders and so on and so on. Inventory management, right? You can keep track of a pen, a ball pen, or like a paper for printing. It can help you with those, for example, a reminder of reordering. It can give you a report on, hey, how many papers you have at the moment, or is it like, do you need to reorder, or just for inventory purpose for your finance department, right? So those are, I think, processes that can really help businesses to improve their productivities.
Yeah, look, inventory management is certainly key to a lot of my clients, and it's interesting. There's a range of sophistication across the client base, from those that have very sophisticated, high level, and very expensive ERP or MRP packages, managing a lot of that for them. Then there are those that have something like that, but perhaps aren't utilising it to anywhere near its full extent, and often they haven't enabled some of the intelligent functions that exist in inventory management. They're just sort of working off some, simple min-max type levels. Whereas the software they have has the capability, if you give it a forecast, to do demand planning and order-based planning around materials. And some have nothing at all. And it's a go-see approach. Someone walks around with a pen and a folder and writes down what they think they need, which will suffice when you're a small organisation. But as you start to grow, that quickly starts to fail, and you learn that you need some sort of system in there. I think the marketing one's interesting as well. And I must admit, I'm looking at you and I have both been fortunate in that, we keep pretty busy just from word of mouth between our clients and people that they know. So that keeps us fairly well engaged. But I believe we're probably entering tighter times. And of course, this is a time for people to be thinking about productivity and process automation and process improvement. And, in consulting, it's somewhat of a bellwether. Rightly or wrongly, and probably wrongly, I would argue, but it's often one of the first things to be cut. So marketing may become more of an important thing to me in the future, and I'm definitely interested in looking at some of the things that can offer for me and for all businesses. I mean, if we do go through some tighter times, marketing and trying to get an unfair market share will be very important, and the businesses that do that well will be the ones that emerge stronger at the end when things improve.
Yep. I would like to add with the marketing campaign, it's like, hey, there's so many tools that you can use and integrate to further automate your outcome, the results. And then after that, you can automate it and integrate it with AI to analyze, hey, what's going on with your marketing campaign, and then like they sometimes self-tweak and advise you or recommend you on these certain tweaks, and then when you okay that, it's just improving your marketing campaign, and you getting better and getting better. Right. So it's amazing things.
I think you've talked about then, there's a number of different areas businesses can look at. There's the customer support, data entry, data processing, marketing, financial transactions, inventory management, process management. Are the software tools that can do that easy enough to find? And if people just do a Google search, or or go to something like ChatGPT and ask about it? Will they? I imagine they'll find a whole suite of potential tools there.
Yes, ChatGPT is really helpful, and the thing is like it's keep learning. That AI tool is keep learning by the input that their users is using. It's asking ChatGPT. But personally, for marketing campaigns, I use HubSpot. That's like all-in-one like tools. I'm not affiliated with HubSpot, but that's the tool that I'm using because it's to start up a business as a startup. It comes with the free tools from their marketing campaign, from creating your website, from many other tools, landing page and chatbot and many other tools. And if they integrate it correctly, it can give you a really nice automation tool, and it also got AI integrated. So whenever you want to create landing page or marketing tools, the AI can help you with the wordings and suggest you with, hey, this need to be like this, or even improve it for your tone.
Yes.
But that's more to on the AI side. But yeah, automations, HubSpot I think, is a great way to start for marketing campaign and on some other automations.
So all of this stuff's out there. What are the sort of challenges or realities of customers or businesses going and looking at these things and trying to implement them? Are there any particular blockers or hurdles they need to overcome or misconceptions?
I think there are so many AI tools since ChatGPT in November 2022, if I'm not wrong. Like up to now, it's probably hundreds or if not thousands of tools. Similarly with automation, there are so many similar tools that can help businesses, companies to do automations. But the thing is, like, it's not one size fits all.
Right.
There are some tools maybe more towards professional services industries.
Yeah,
or there are
larger
some tools
organizations, maybe.
for manufacturing, right? So
Yep.
it requires customizations and understanding what are they need, and then match it up.
Yes, so trying to find something that's going to work best in your type of business or field that you work in. Yeah, absolutely. And I imagine the costs vary as well, but the pricing is going to be fairly clear with those up front. Are there any hidden costs, things that you didn't realize were going to cost you when you go down a particular path?
Sometimes training or maintenance and integration costs is not really mentioned upfront. But there's something that we can help with efficient business solution can help you with, help the customer with understanding, hey, this is the TCO, total cost of ownership of a system. But don't get me wrong, there are many tools, automation tools. It's started with free, which is it can be like a SaaS, like on the website, for example, ChatGPT, or many other like HubSpot is coming for free. Or if they're thinking about automation in terms of like ERP, there are some enterprise grade open source system that they can try to utilize or at least have a look, and then if that it fits, they can adapt to it. So there are some alternatives.
Right. So we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but we haven't got into it in any depth yet. What about the impact on employees? I know from my discussions within organisations that there are certainly some employees who fear automation, and there's been a lot of talk in the media about how automation will eliminate certain jobs or do those kind of things. What do you think the reality is there, and where do you think that's going to go in the long term? And what do employees need to know to thrive in that increasingly automated work environment?
What I can see is technology is to complement human. Is in a way to make human experience better, not to eliminate human in the business process. So let's take a bit go back into the past where calculator just been invented, right? So there are so many stories, news saying that, oh, there will be no accountants or no mathematician
Right.
or there's
Right.
no many people. It will be reducing workforce by such and such.
Yes,
But
I
in the
remember
end,
that. I remember that. My father had a slide rule that he used all the time. I doubt many of us can use a slide rule today. I'd have to scratch my head and think about it a little bit to use one. But it was a big deal when those first calculators came out.
there you go. So, but now, like, hey, people still got work, and even like accountants are still in demand.
Right.
Finance people is still still easy to get work. But the same thing with AI, with this automation, it's not about reducing the workforce, but it's getting more productive so that one person, instead of like can produce, for example, 100 items before automation, the person can now produce 1,000 or 10,000 or sometimes 1,000,000 items with a press of button because they're using machinery,
Yes.
right? So, and the other people, the other person that instead of like you using like 2-3 person for 100 producing 100 items, they can now producing like 20, 30, or 40,000 items at once. So imagine the scale of productivity that a business can have.
Yes. I know from some of my manufacturing clients who do a lot of welding, they found that the role of the welders has changed a little. And welding's a tough job, by the way. If you've ever done it for a day, you'll know exactly what I mean. And so I see places putting in automated or robotic welding systems. And so what some of the welders are doing, they're learning to program these machines and to make the jigs so that these machines can work. So they're still absolutely gainfully employed and their skill level is increasing. Their welding capability is still used. It's used where the robot can't do it, where particular levels of skill are required. So these people are sort of less fatigued at the end of the day. They're still welding, but they're doing more specialised work, which is more challenging. And for them, perhaps, they derive a bit more satisfaction from. But they're also learning to use the technology and help the organisation increase its productivity.
One point that I would like to point, sorry, Chris, one point that I would like to point out, what do you think about the rate of injury? I believe it should be decreasing because like with automation, it's not about eliminating the people, but I mean like automation is to eliminate those risky paths so that it's creating less injury in the workforce, in the workplace, right?
And I think that will come up when we get some of the process automation specialists in to talk about, what they do integrating automation into factories, light curtains and things like that, where machines automatically stop if you step or move or put a limb beyond a certain point. There are a lot of sophisticated safety systems now that form part of this, and just awareness as well, and automatic monitoring, instant reporting, the analysis of that data as well. You've talked about a lot of those things, I think, all come into play. So, yeah, safety is another important angle.
Yep.
So if we want to put on our binoculars that help us see into the future, Tony, what do you think are some of the emerging trends that people should be aware of? What do you think that's going to do to help small to mid-size organisations compete with larger players? What's the future here in automation?
What I can see, I think we touched this, which is AI. I think AI is a big thing, and it helps the automation think in a way, quote unquote think. and make it smart. So AI is a big thing. And how do AI can be utilized? Of course, it's requires some input, which is IoT, Internet of Things. It's as a
Yes.
sensors that helps feed input data into into the systems. It's not about machinery we're talking about, not about robotic, but I mean, for example, in day-to-day weather, right? A sensor for the weather, or like the temperature, right? That can help, for example, traveling people navigate all their schedules, right? That's one way. But for small businesses to compete with the bigger players, automations can play parts, a big part. I think we touched that on the 24/7 availability or customer service chatbot, giving more like automated customer service, like notifications and reminders. But I think the one that missing in that question, in that equation, is configurations, tailored solutions. Small business need to understand, hey, how can they integrate their systems so that it can be fully automated and then makes the productivity improve.
Right. And
So I think that,
I imagine that is a bit complicated for some businesses to work through that. And I suppose that's where people like yourselves as consultants come in to help them understand that and simplify that process for them.
yeah.
So perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about what role consultants do play to help organisations successfully implement automation and optimize it to do what they needed to do.
Every business is unique. That's what I can say. But there are so many or quite a bit of case study that they can adapt or relate. For example, in restaurant, right? Probably it started with McDonald's that providing kiosks for their ordering systems. But now, like you can see, many smaller restaurants providing QR code or providing their iPad to start ordering from their table, right?
Yes, I've seen touchscreens built into the tables themselves and things like that.
That's the thing, right? So those success stories that can help businesses to adapt and then to see, hey, it is actually fun. It is actually enjoyable experience. And this can work for my customer as well and my business. So that's kind of like success story that the consultant can bring and adapt and help the customer adapt with those systems and deliver it. And then, of course, fine-tuning it so that it match or it can be relevant to that specific business. Because as I mentioned, every business is unique.
Yes, right, absolutely. So perhaps then you can go over are there any tips and tricks that perhaps we can finish up just hearing from you a little bit about, what are the, what advice would you give to business leaders who are maybe hesitant to invest in process automation or are looking for, a pathway to get started?
Yep. I think what I can say is, again, look at those success stories and adapt with it. But in those, in enhancing productivity and efficiency, we can start small, but think big. Think big means like, again, going back to the case success stories again, right? Get the automations, start with one department or one single task, do it automation and see how it goes and make sure that's it's work. in that small task, make sure that it's a high impact area so that you can get the success early based on the ROI.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
So prioritize the areas that are going to give you the biggest bang for buck, right?
That's the word. That's the way. And the next thing is like, have a look. What are the tools? For example, AI or any other integrations that you can use to further enhance your automations. But please be advised that automation is not to replace, but it's to enhance the experience from the customers. That's where you need to start automating all those tasks. And then the next thing is like monitor and optimize. So have a look again. What are the results? Is it like good enough, or what can be improved? And you need to do it regularly so that you keep the updated with the latest technology, with the latest update, and it can bring productivity and efficiency up. And the last thing is, what I should say is training.
Right.
Because when you have the right tools without the right person or the right skills, it may not be effective. I think you mentioned that before.
Yeah.
It needs to be optimized. I think those are the tips that I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a great set, isn't it? So we've got start small but think big. So think about where you're going, and you know, some of these tools can make your organisation look like a much bigger presence than maybe it is, and can give you those higher capabilities that people would expect from a large organisation. So aim where you're going to get the biggest bang for buck. So prioritise where you're going to get the ROI out of. Leverage that AI capability and machine learning. Use the automation to enhance, not just to replace. So I think that's a key point. And invest in training in people you mentioned as well.
Yes.
So those are so important. It's still going to be a holistic system, a holistic business that involves people. So they need to come on the journey with you and not fear automation. And monitor and continually optimize that. Yeah, it's a terrific list, Tony. And look, it's been a great discussion. It really has. And you know, even just talking to you today and listening to you talk there, I can already think of a whole bunch of things I should probably look at myself. So I'm going to take a few notes down out of this podcast as well and go and look at the opportunity. So I think that's probably a good place for us to wrap up. I strongly suspect some of the things you've mentioned people would like to hear a lot more about. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the feedback and comments, people are suggesting, can we talk more about this or about that? And I strongly encourage all of you out there to write those comments and give us that feedback, because we really do want to be informed by what you need to hear and would like to hear. And if that involves delving more deeply into some of the things we've talked about today at perhaps a bit of a higher level, then do tell us. Please subscribe and keep following us. And hit the like button too. All of that helps for us to connect with more people, provide more value, and get more feedback on what you'd like to hear about. So thanks again for tuning in. Thank you so much, Tony, for your time today. Thank you. I'll look forward to working with you again as we delve into our next topic. So all the best, everyone.